chalet. You had the world convinced you cared, but we see the cards you played, and all the children thought you'd save them. They thought you'd save them, and you're so bold. You probably thought this move was righteous. You're so bold, you're so bold. I bet you think this theft is flawless. Don't you? Don't you?
Evening's Freedoms, Helldivers. That was You're So Bold by Mutako, a song of determination and resolve to do the right thing, which is exactly what I plan on doing. Thus far, several thousand decommissioned automaton combat fringe have been donated to my, shadowy helpers, which will be melted down into hospital beds for the children of St. Anne's. Furthermore, thousands of super credits have been donated to their continuing treatment and care. One diver, Spirit of Reach, opted to give 1,000 super credits instead of purchasing a new war bond. Of especially honorable mention is Luminaut, who donated 25,000 super credits to the cause. Now that's the kind of motion that deserves an immediate promotion to perfect patriotism score. Those kids are going to have such a special Liberty Day, you should all feel very proud. Now, there's one other chore that I would like you to look into for me, dear divers. The Ministry of Science is investigating Meridia, which, as far as I can tell, has had consistently passive and benign readings. Very little activity to report there, so why the sudden curiosity? As ever, the MLS is tight-lipped around me and threatened to throw me up on my tail again, so I wisely took off before they can make good on that threat. Yeah, that hurts more than you think. So, bug divers of Pandion, I know that I can't tear you away from your beloved quarantine zone, so if you could gather tissue samples from spore chargers and spore spewers, I'd be very grateful. I've got an independent lab waiting for these donations, and they'll be investigating a possible link between gloom spores and the Meridia Singularity. Now, before I get into galactic news for tonight, there's a clip that I want to show you from the Low Sodium Helldivers Reddit board, and it's not for the reasons that you think. Calling down a support weapon. Was their own fault, and several mistakes were made here, as was thoroughly discussed in the comments section. But that's not really why I'm calling attention to this. Shaming someone for their diving performance so much that they delete their own account? That wasn't very low sodium of any of us. So, I want to reach out to you, Super Earth Gooner, I hope that's your name, and personally invite you back to the Low Sodium's Discord and Reddit boards with our apologies. Give us one more chance to show you that we are better than that. So, that being said, news from the galactic sphere. As I mentioned this morning, Claorell fell under attack. Seriously, I was almost finished with my morning broadcast when the FTL early warning system lit up, so whatever crimes the automatons were guilty of, add further overworking a cute newscasting kitten to that list. Fortunately, they're getting exactly what they deserve and just getting absolutely demolished out there by our least hesitant last line of offense, and the ill-fated attack on our Deep Mantle Forge Complex looks to be repelled in roughly 3 hours. Vernen is not doing so, fortunately, and is in danger of dropping past 20% liberation values and is losing freedom points at a simply alarming rate. They're going to need some pretty significant backup, or else the DSS logistics hub on Tarsh is going to be under direct threat. Within the TQZ, Pandion is more or less exactly the same as when I looked at it this morning. It's an ugly planet, a bug planet, a planet hostile to democratic life as we know it, but it's also the perfect place to grab those gloom samples my third-party science team is interested in. And I know that there are a few dedicated bug divers that tune into my show. One bug diver also happens to be a bug. Hi, Grevlin. Now, sobering news from the home front. Milton has finally fluffed off back to the Atlantic Ocean dissipated, but has left plentiful damage in its wake. At last tally, 2.8 million people are without power, and the death toll was counted at 16. Honestly, given how intense this was, that's a lot better than I thought they'd do, especially since the original tornado count was miscounted by an order of magnitude. At last count, the number of tornadoes active possibly exceeded 20. On the lighter side of news, Sky of the SES Song of Starlight, who had been right there in the thick of the storm, reports that his property's fence has been repaired, his power is back online, and he is deploying to the western front to spill some oil. Similarly, Low Sodium Zone Tyler is A-OK and back in action, because Helldivers never die. I have acquired a few other resources for those who want to give up some of their discretionary income to help Super Florida out during its time of need. As I said last night, the American Red Cross is on the scene lending aid, but other good charities helping out is the United Way, the Salvation Army, CARE, AmeriCares, the Florida Disaster Fund, the United Way of Florida, and Feeding America. There are also several groups providing for pets and livestock, such as the Humane Society and the Thistle Pet Foundation. All these groups can be found in the linked list from weather.com in the description below. Like I said last night, it's not expected, but anything does help. That's been Liberty's latest with me, ponderatheradioangel. I certainly do hope that Super Florida is out of the woods on this, and it's just a matter of time until things get put back together. I tell you, the Bringer of Mercy might not be the finest place in the universe to live, but at the very least, I don't get my whole life utterly erased once every few years like these poor guys. I mean, so long as we keep on dodging the Automaton STS batteries. I do dearly hope that we can get our focus back on simply controlling the damage from the bots and bugs rather than dreading a cataclysmic force of nature. Because with our firepower, we don't need to conquer the storm. We are the storm. For liberty, for freedom, for democracy, and for Super Earth.